Christian Fraser in London and Jane O'Brien in Washington.
Our top stories. Pressure mounts on Moscow with 25 countries now expelling Russian diplomats over the Salisbury nerve agent attack. Mark Zuckerberg apparently now is willing to testify before Congress over the harvesting of data belonging to millions of Facebook users.
Coming up in the next half hour. Sent home from South Africa, 3 Australian players are heading home after the ball tampering scandal that rocked the cricketing world. Pray and play. We've the story of Sister Jean, the extraordinary mascot for an American basketball team. Is she the secret to their unexpected success? Keep those messages coming. Hashtag Beyond 100 Days. When the British Prime Minister announced last week that she was expelling 23 Russian spies in retaliation for the Salisbury poisoning, some questioned what difference it would make. Relations between Moscow and London are already at a low ebb.
But a week on, things look very different. There's been an extraordinary diplomatic push to get other countries on board. A special crisis team was set up in the Foreign Office in London to coordinate the effort, and now more than 150 Russian diplomats from over 20 countries are on their way home.
NATO said today the global effort will destabilise Russia's entire spy network. And of course, there is certain to be swift diplomatic retaliation in Moscow. Our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucet, has been speaking to Konstantin Kosachev, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Russian Parliament's upper house.
I am not in a position to speak on behalf of the Russian state, but my personal opinion would be to expel more diplomats in case of United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom has initiated this provocation, this diplomatic war against Russia on very weak grounds. But otherwise, for other countries, the response should be absolutely symmetric. 60 from the United States, 60 from Russia, 4 from Germany, 4 from Russia, and so on and so forth. We have not started this. And we should not be the first ones to show the goodwill. We have once showed our goodwill by not expelling the American diplomats 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, when they took this first decision just on the eve of the new year. And remember, it did not create any impression, and later on we had to go the same way, though initially we demonstrated our goodwill. We sent signals to the new administration of the United States that we are ready to interpret this as a deed of the previous administration, and we are ready to work with the new administration in a new way, in a different manner. Unfortunately, this signal was never heard by the new administration in the States.
The diplomatic tit for tat is escalating rapidly. Where do you think it's heading?
It may head to a disaster. I don't know, because we have not initiated it. We have not constructed this conflict.
But you're not...
And we are ready to go back to normal relations as soon as the other part is ready to go back to the normal relations. But again, this is not about Ukraine. This is not about meddling in the elections. This is not about poisoning some former agents. This is about containing Russia, creating problems for Russia with its sovereign and independent foreign policy. We see how dangerous the unilateral world may be. Exactly with this example. We have one country with very weak argumentation, and suddenly we have 20 more countries immediately supporting this country. This is what I call a danger of a unilateral world. This group of countries try to monopolize the right of knowing the truth, telling what is good and what is bad, who is the good leader to be kept in power and who is the bad leader to resign or to be kicked off. So this is an extremely dangerous situation.
That was Konstantin Kosachev speaking to Lise Doucet. Well, the White House says President Trump took the decision himself to expel 60 Russian diplomats. Kremlin today has blamed Washington for the mass expulsions. If you're one of those who believes Moscow must have compromising personal information on this president, then maybe this would be the moment they might think about using it.
Well, one commentator who voiced that opinion today is the Russian Anna Matvieva, a senior visiting fellow in the War Studies Department at King's College London. And she's been speaking to the BBC about it.
If they do have, Moscow, something on Trump, I'm not saying that they necessarily have, but if they have something, and we had rumors about this or that, or business interests, or a collusion of Trump campaign, that would be the time when they will present it. Because now they understood that the first hope of getting a better relationship didn't work, so they have now to treat the current leadership in Washington as an adversary.
That's interesting.
Well, that is, of course, one view. But I have to point out, Christian, that these conspiracy theories have been floating about Washington for a very long time, saying that there must be something on the president, because otherwise why would he be reaching out to Vladimir Putin so often? And there has been no proof. We've had a report that was produced, of course, by the British spy Christopher Steele, but that has not been corroborated independently. So there is a lot of questions over that whole thing. But very interestingly, Sarah Sanders, who's doing the White House briefing right now, is focusing far more on the growing number of countries that are getting behind Britain. And don't forget, this is Britain who led the way here, not Russia. But I'm wondering, Christian, you've been touring Europe far more frequently than I have. Is this momentum going to continue, do you think?